On graduation day, my girlfriend and my buddy were passionately making out in front of everyone. When I saw it, she got all nervous, snuggled into my friend's arms, and looked at me with disdain. David, we're all classmates. Don't go embarrassing him, we were just playing truth or dare. It was just a kiss. Don't be so small-minded. That's good. I just slapped my buddy and walked away with flair. If she doesn't love me, on to the next one. Later, she went through so much to find me and saw me half hugging someone else. She freaked out and started crying on the ground. David, you're doing this to get back at me, aren't you? I glanced at her. You've used up all the emotional stuff. What's left for me? On that college graduation night, the rain flipped the city upside down. Everyone was having a great time and suggested we play truth or dare. I was late because I wanted to prepare a special graduation gift for Carrie. When I got to the suite, the door was ajar, and I could hear the class president teasing Carrie, asking if the person she loved most was David and if she was his first love. Carrie got mad at him and replied, "No, I wasn't. He's like a log." The class president leaned closer, insisting, "If you weren't his first love, who was it?" Carrie pushed him away, annoyed. "How would I know who his first love is?" The room filled with sarcastic laughter. People couldn't believe she didn't know who his first love was after 2 years of dating. Who would have thought that the daughter of the richest guy would get cheated on? Impossible, someone chimed in. I once saw her with David in a hotel, saw them making out passionately. Carrie's eyes flashed with worry. She stammered, "That wasn't David." Jasmine gave Carrie a dagger look and asked, "So who was it? Who did you cheat with?" Carrie got embarrassed and snapped, "It was John." Jasmine stared her down, "The rich guy you hooked up with." No one believed her because John was my close friend. The class president egged her on. "Unless you show us and kiss him here, we won't believe it was John." I thought she wouldn't do it, even if everything she said was outrageous, because she's always been respectful and considerate of my feelings. I was planning to surprise her and talk privately about this whole mess. In comes the surprise. I see my girlfriend and my buddy in a heated kiss. The room's vibe blew up. Someone suddenly called my name. "David." The room went dead silent. Seeing my shocked look, she, all nervous, cuddled up to my buddy and, with disgust, said, "David, we're classmates. Don't embarrass him. He didn't want to." I casually slapped her, pretending to be heartbroken, and left. That night, my buddy suggested I go to another city for some fresh air and a new start. Unexpectedly, Jasmine chased after me in the rain, keeping me company as we went to another city. I cut all ties with Carrie. Fast forward 4 years. I'm chilling at home, snacking, and enjoying life when my mom calls, saying my dad's sick and in the hospital. I hurriedly book the closest flight, grab my ID, and fly home. Mom picks me up at the airport and tells me Dad wasn't sick. It was a ruse to get me home, but it also brought media attention. They thought some VIP was worth the CEO's wife's personal welcome. Seeing it was me, the media went wild, considering my ex Carrie's engagement to my former buddy John had just hit the news. They wanted my reaction, looking for a laugh at the heir's expense. The clouds parted, and the sun was shining, just like today. When I transferred to the school, my buddy pulled me out of my academic bubble to the basketball court, where we met the school's legends. Carrie, the heiress rumored to be wealthier than Midas, changing Rolls Royces daily, always dressed in haute couture, and never repeating an outfit, rich, beautiful, and as lively as her name implies, adored by many guys, she owned the school confession wall. Then there was her scholarly and wealthy but low-key friend Jasmine, the high cold flower. Most young guys would profess their love at first sight, all rejected. Eventually, I became the school's big shot too, thanks to my looks, smarts, and status as the company's sole heir, sharing the confession wall top spot with my buddy. Later, I approached the school belle, Carrie, and we got together. The reporters barraged me with questions. "David, did you come back because of Carrie and John's engagement? David, are you back because of love unfulfilled? David, have you stayed away for 4 years because of heartbreak from Carrie? Your thoughts on Carrie and John's engagement?" I calmly replied, "I didn't return because of Carrie and John's engagement. We have no ties. I came for my personal affairs. Please, media friends, don't jump to conclusions. I ended with, congrats to Carrie and John on their engagement. My mom's guards escorted me from the airport. Riding a Rolls back home, I was overwhelmed with joy seeing my dad, embracing him tightly. Meanwhile, from behind my mom stepped my childhood friend, calling my name. From a childhood friend, I found out what happened after I left on graduation night. Carrie spent an amazing night at the hotel with a dude. When she woke up and saw I hadn't come looking for her, she freaked out. She kept calling and texting me, even showed up at my house, asking my friends where I was, if anyone knew anything about me. Then she started searching the whole city. Her family thought she was being ridiculous. Carrie got wrapped up in romance with me, and seeing her like this made them dislike me even more, preferring someone reliable like John. Eventually, she told her family she didn't like John, that she always liked me. In rebellion, Carrie started seeking guys in bars who looked like me. She went as far as saying she wouldn't step foot in her house unless she married me. But then, for some reason, she suddenly gave in and got engaged to John. I found it all unbelievable, honestly, like something straight out of a soap opera. Now, whatever happens, it's her own choice. We both knew it was just a transaction. Suddenly playing all lovey-dovey for whom? But I didn't expect to run into her so soon. That afternoon, Jasmine came back too. I drove the Lamborghini to pick her up at the airport. I was nervous but excited. I teased her, asking, "You didn't come back because of John's engagement, did you?" She looked at me with surprise, like I was the only person in her world. It wasn't because of him. The way she looked at me so gently, I almost thought she liked me. It had to be my imagination. Though she wasn't here to crash the wedding, who knows if she was just being stubborn. Then I drove us to the cafe we used to hang out at. Jasmine naturally ordered a coffee for me too. She cautiously tested the waters with me. "Are you planning on moving to another city again?" Unconsciously, I told her the truth. "No, I'm not planning to. My dad wants to retire, so he's passing the company to me." Why did Jasmine seem unhappy? Was it because of John's engagement? I took a sip of coffee to calm down and blurted out, "What about you? Are you moving to another city again?" Why was I even asking? John's here, why would she leave? "No, I'm taking over the company too." Hearing her answer, I felt a mix of joy and worry. Suddenly, I got a message from a friend. "She's coming to find you and she gave me your location." "Great, we'll stick to the original plan." I looked up at Jasmine, pleaded and nervously asked, "Can you do me a favor and pretend to be my girlfriend to upset Carrie?" She stared at me when I asked, then froze when she heard the rest. She was silent for a while. Was this making her uncomfortable? Of course, she doesn't like me. I played it cool, "It's okay, that was sudden. Don't worry about it." Jasmine, almost afraid I'd change my mind, quickly replied, "Don't ask anyone else. I can do it." Didn't expect that to work. I felt a smile forming but tried to stay calm. "Then come over and let me put my arm around you." Jasmine sat closer, giving me a shy look, hesitant to touch me. Seeing Carrie about to come in, I pulled her hand, her head resting on my chest, pretending to be cozy. I secretly rejoiced. Carrie's arrival nudged us closer. Had I known this would work so well, I'd have come back sooner, hoping she'd show up more often. Carrie walked in, glaring at me, ready to throw a punch seeing someone else so close. John held her back before she swung. Then she realized it was Jasmine I had my arm around. Carrie's best friend, always the perfect child compared to Carrie. Carrie grabbed Jasmine's shirt and snapped, "Jasmine, I saw you as a sister, and you're seeing my boyfriend. Is this how a friend acts?" Jasmine yanked Carrie's hand off, looked at her like she was a stranger. "Carrie, who do you think you are? How dare you disrespect David like that?" While Jasmine spoke, I slowly intertwined my fingers with hers, holding them up to show Carrie. Holding Jasmine's hand for the first time, I felt so happy. All because of Carrie. What a mix of emotions. Carrie, eyes teary and voice trembling, gasped, "David, you're doing this to make me jealous, right?" "It worked, now please leave her and come back to me." I barely gave her a glance. Your overly dramatized love affair left no room for me to act. We were a transaction, now you're playing victim for a spectacle? John and I gave each other a knowing look. You're with Jasmine now, you shouldn't be entangling with my fiancé. Why'd you come back now that I'm about to marry Carrie's sister? You're looking to crash the wedding, right, being the third wheel? I rolled my eyes. What does your wedding with Carrie have to do with me? John, skeptical, challenged, then why'd you come back now? Why stay away for 4 years if it wasn't for Carrie? Carrie found his reasoning sound, nodding while looking at me. Jasmine stiffened, heartbreak evident across her face. My heart ached seeing her like that. I urgently clarified, I haven't had any ties with Carrie since graduation day. She has nothing to do with me. When you were making out with my girlfriend back then, didn't you feel guilty? I didn't confront you because once we were best friends. How dare you come accusing me? That lousy Carrie, and you fancied her, you must be manipulated. John, eyes affectionately on Carrie, rebuffed, you liked my Carrie so much. How can you say you've forgotten? I stared at John with determination. We're done, and I've moved on with my new life. John smugly leaned towards me. As long as you forget about Carrie, Carrie's sister and I will live happily ever after. Carrie was standing nearby, watching us fight over her, feeling pretty pleased with her own allure. Then she overheard us and anxiously pushed John away, standing protectively in front of me. She disdainfully told John, "Stay away from David. Just because you're engaged to me doesn't mean you get to bully David." John pretended to be angry as he looked at Carrie. "You're not even David's girlfriend anymore. You two broke up, so why are you acting so close? And what do you mean by we're engaged? We are engaged, and I'm your fiancé, not him, David." Carrie tried to reach for me, but I avoided her. "David, I have my reasons, trust me. I'm gonna call off the engagement with him right away." To prove herself, she called her family on the spot and talked to an uncle as well. She looked at me, hoping for some kind of recognition, but I ignored her and kept gazing intently at Jasmine. Seeing Carrie's outrageous behavior, John indignantly pointed at her. "Who do you think you are? You've hurt so many guys, plus you're a gold digger. You're really something, aren't you?" Carrie thought I didn't know, but John spilled the beans. She immediately turned red with anger and slapped John. "No matter how messy I am, David still loves me, and you're still engaged to me. You'll marry me one day." Thinking about this made Carrie even smugger. "Since you like me so much, why don't you apologize to David and ask him to forgive me? I won't mind taking care of you outside our engagement." Hearing this, I was so furious I walked up to her and slapped her. Carrie didn't even have time to react. John, shocked, quickly came to his senses and slapped Carrie 3 more times. "Who do you think you are? Trying to hit me? With the way you act, I find you filthy and disgusting. Marriage? In your dreams." John looked at Carrie with disgust. "You think you're worthy of keeping me? I'm the heir to a company, for crying out loud." His face showed nothing but disdain. "If it weren't for the family, who would even consider getting engaged to you? Besides, we've already broken off the engagement." Carrie looked at me, confused. "I meant for him to apologize to you?" I looked at her like she was an enemy. "He's my childhood buddy and my best friend. How dare you bully him like that? He's not interested in you. He wouldn't even deal with you if it weren't for me." Realizing the situation, Carrie got flustered and tried to attack us. "You two conspired against me." Jasmine, not backing down, stood in Carrie's way, preventing her from hitting us. Then they began scuffling, each hit harder than the last, while exchanging words. "Jasmine, I've tolerated you for too long. And so what? You've always outshone me since we were kids. Yet you still tried to take away the person I like. But didn't you already take him away?" With that, Jasmine overpowered Carrie, threatening her. "From now on, stay away from them. Otherwise, I'll beat you up every time I see you." On the way home, I mustered up the courage to ask Jasmine, "You said Carrie took away someone you liked, right?" Jasmine responded with determination. "Yes." Hearing her sure answer, curiosity got the better of me. "Do you still like him?" She honestly replied, "I really do." I looked at her and asked insistently, "How much do you like him?" She looked at me with steadfast eyes. "He's the only one for me, the only one I'll marry. I felt like my heart shattered before I even started dating, already broken-hearted. Why didn't Carrie ever mention that Jasmine had a crush? Jasmine looked at me expectantly, as if wanting to share the story of her crush. Honestly, I wasn't eager to hear it. But seeing her hopeful eyes, I couldn't bear to say no, so I nodded. With tender eyes, Jasmine looked at me and began sharing slowly. I fell in love with him at first sight, but I had no idea if he liked me back. I was afraid of rejection, so I asked Carrie to help me chase him. One day, out of the blue, Carrie said he didn't like me and confessed her feelings for him. My heart shattered hearing that. To think someone would make Jasmine sad, what terrible taste in people, and favor Carrie of all people. Later, I discovered Carrie was secretly seeing male models, so to prevent him from getting hurt, I stayed by his side all the time. When it rained on graduation day and he didn't show, I constantly checked the entrance, hoping to see him. Meanwhile, John and I worked together to make him see Carrie's true colors. In the end, he did see the truth about her. He was so hurt he moved to another city, and I quickly went with him. Why does this story sound so much like mine? During those 4 years, at first, he drowned his woes in alcohol. Watching him was heartbreaking. My plan was to quietly stay with him until he moved on. Later, someone who resembled Carrie appeared around him, and I felt insanely jealous. But I didn't want to scare him away, so I quietly stepped aside and quietly marked my territory. Reflecting, I realized why that person suddenly stopped hanging out with me. Wait a minute. Could it be that the person she likes is me? David, why can't you lift your head and look at me? I've always liked you too. I couldn't believe Jasmine actually liked me. After hearing her confession, I was so overwhelmed I ran home without thinking. Why didn't I respond to her? I clearly like her too, so why did I act like such an idiot? And so, not a wink of sleep that night. The next day, I wanted to see what people online were saying about yesterday's incident at the airport. Suddenly, I found I was trending on Twitter. I clicked to read the comments. David, did you go to ask Carrie to call off the engagement? As the rich kid, you knew the situation. Did your parents teach you to still date your friend's girl? David, that guy has no shame. Why doesn't he just do everyone a favor and die already? How dare David threaten Carrie to make her hit John? Does he even have a sense of decency? He should just go away for good. David definitely has no shame. I mean, he can't live without a woman in his life. And with that flirtatious face? Give me a break. I'd be more than happy to have him as my lover. David, that pathetic excuse for a man who can't survive without women, should just disappear. Breathing air is a waste for him, and even his resting place would be better off as empty land. The more I read, the more furious I get. Like, who gave these journalists the audacity to make up rumors and even snap sneaky photos of us at the cafe yesterday, taking everything out of context? Suddenly, I got a text from my buddy. Carrie had the reporters make stuff up to create this whole drama, just to make you seek her help. I've got some evidence for you here. You should take a look. Evidence? All right, I've gathered some too. After checking it out, Carrie called me, all smug. David, I still like you. Let's meet up. Just don't go home tonight. We haven't had a long talk in a while, and I'll help you solve this. I'm at the cafe we went to yesterday. Think it over and come find me, Mua. She was sure I'd go, ignoring my response altogether. I wanted to confront Carrie about not telling me, and I shot a text to my buddy. I drove my Rolls-Royce to the cafe. Angrily, I walked up to her and demanded, "Why didn't you tell me Jasmine likes someone? Why the lies?" She signaled me to sit after hearing me out. "Try the coffee you love and see if it tastes the same," she said serenely. "Then I'll tell you everything." I glared at Carrie. "Don't trick me." "I won't." With her assurance, I took a sip of the coffee, then set it down and looked her in the eye. With a soft look, Carrie said, "I like you too. Why have you always only focused on her?" I calmly replied, "Matters of the heart don't need a reason. Weren't we set on this just being a deal from the start?" Then it hit me. "Don't tell me you're in love with me." She didn't even deny it and shyly looked away. Busted. Then she met my eyes again. "So what? After tonight, I'll be yours. Did you really not notice anything wrong?" I started to feel unbearably hot and dizzy. So that's why she was rambling, stalling time until the drug kicked in. I thought it was over. The thought of hooking up with this toxic woman made me sick. For the first time, I regretted not getting with Jasmine yesterday. In my haze, I saw Carrie coming on to me with a sly look. Then it seemed like Jasmine appeared out of nowhere and slapped her when she was about to touch me. All I remember is clinging to Jasmine, complaining about the heat, and ripping at my clothes. Jasmine shyly pulled my shirt back up. And that's how we ended up in a hotel room. Jasmine gave me a cold shower, clearing my mind just a bit. David, look at me. Who am I? Jasmine, do you want this? I faintly recall nodding. Her hair was slightly tousled, and the room was filled with a tantalizing atmosphere. The beauty on the bed was irresistible to anyone who truly saw her. This was Jasmine's first time handling an out-of-control me, and it was intimidating. But she liked it. By the third day, we were trending on social media. Hello, everyone. I'm the company president, David. Nice to meet you. Hey, I'm the president, Jasmine. Pleasure to meet you. Hi, I'm the company president, John. Please look after me. Carrie saw our posts and messaged me to meet at the cafe, saying she wanted to talk. After the last cafe incident, I came with Jasmine. I wasn't going to let her mess with us again. With my arm loosely around Jasmine, we headed to the cafe. Carrie saw how happy we looked and glared with envy, forgetting why she even wanted to meet. I didn't expect you to get so lucky. You think you can be happy? Jasmine, don't forget how David used to woo me. Jasmine stiffened at Carrie's words. Carrie saw her reaction and smirked. David loved me so much before, but then he just called it off, dumped me cold. Jasmine stayed silent, looking shattered. I tenderly held Jasmine's hand and looked deeply into her eyes. Whoever loved you? I've never loved you. Jasmine was always the one for me. Jasmine looked up in shock at my words. Her vision filled with only me, as mine was with her. I averted my eyes shyly, glaring at Carrie. Did you forget our deal? I pretended to be your boyfriend so you'd tell me if Jasmine liked anyone and help me get with her. Jasmine exclaimed. She told me you liked her, that you confessed to her. I anxiously explained to Jasmine, fearing her disbelief. Jasmine, that's not true. It was love at first sight for me. From the moment I saw you, I was scared you wouldn't like me, so I got close to your best friend, asking her to help me win you over. Jasmine gazed into my sincere and resolved eyes. Even Carrie knew I liked you. I asked for her help to get you too. Later, she said you liked her. I kept my feelings inside. I can't believe we've wasted so much time, almost missing each other forever. Carrie erupted in laughter, mad with jealousy. Haha, I'm happy. I created this whole misunderstanding between you two, and if given another chance, I'd do it all over again. I looked at her with disgust. I don't regret it. I've already given the journalists all the dirt on your wild partying and keeping those boy toys. That includes the full interview video from the airport and our chat at the cafe. We'll know the results soon. Carrie anxiously checked her phone. She found out she was trending as the top search on Weibo, with all the comments trashing her. Carrie, what a real diva. Wow, she's really living it up. The rich girl sure knows how to have fun with anyone. Aren't you scared of catching something? This is elite society fun, and she's the queen of it. Looks like we owe David an apology. Poor guy ended up with such a messed up ex. And John? Too bad he's got a fiancée like that. Carrie's company released a PR statement saying they have no connection to any so-called diva and have cut ties with her. Go look. John posted on Weibo too, saying he's called off the engagement and she's not his fiancée anymore. I used the media storm to personally bankrupt Carrie's family's company. All because of Carrie, who nearly made me miss my chance with Jasmine by making things complicated. She liked me so much, I figured I'd give her a gift she'd love. Let her become a lady for hire. A year later, I'm chatting with an old friend at a cafe. That's when I found out from him that she was toyed to death by some ugly, fat guy. Thinking back, the first month, I stood in the rain all night on purpose, testing if Jasmine would worry about me. Thank goodness, Jasmine ended up eating the steak. The second month, I pretended to be heartbroken, standing there dazed, and Jasmine picked up the tickets, going with me to the concert. The third month, I spent a month happily learning from Jasmine, but I hated the game so much it made me sick. The fourth month, Jasmine and I were learning racing, and when I heard her small confession, my hand shook, nearly causing an accident. The fifth month, I purposely texted Jasmine to wake me up, but I was too tired and fell asleep with the stove on. Thankfully, Jasmine called the firefighters. Later, I found out she was in tears at that time. No wonder she never let me into the kitchen after we got together. I feel like it's a battlefield every time I go in. The sixth month, I knew I was allergic to alcohol but took allergy meds anyway. Little did I know I was allergic to those too, and I passed out. Later, classmates told me Jasmine was the one who held me up and ran with me to the hospital. Once we were together, she made sure I didn't touch a drop of alcohol at social events. The fifth month again was when Jasmine stayed up all night making a cake. She was so tired after that. I sneaked a kiss and hurriedly ran off with the cake. I had already ordered one for Carrie. Jasmine's cake was so delicious. I ate a lot of it. Now I can only eat Jasmine's baking. I refuse anything else. Suddenly, I got a text from my lovely wife. "David, I'm home. Where are you?" "David, hurry back. I'm waiting for you." Then I drove my Rolls-Royce home. As soon as I got out, I saw Jasmine standing there, all alone and helpless, as if she was the last person in the world. I rushed and hugged her. "Honey, I missed you so much." My wife looked stunning no matter what, even in bed. Jasmine playfully bit my earlobe. "David, are you sure you really like me? Not my best friend?" I turned and gave her a kiss on the cheek. "Honey, I really like you. I know she loves when I do that." Jasmine gently patted my head and sweetly said, "I can't ever manage you, can I? Let's go home, and I'll decide your fate tonight." The night fell. Jasmine's voice was soft and tempting. "David, say you love me again, please." Then our lips met gently, moving closer to the bed, and she melted beneath me. Before I could say anything, Jasmine kissed me again and again, and I couldn't hold back any longer. I went all out on her. Tonight was more intense than any other. When I woke up, the sky was dark again. My voice was beyond hoarse. I was trying to say something yesterday, but you wouldn't let me. You'd ask and I'd answer. Then I got so sleepy. If I didn't respond, you'd kiss me hard. You're too much. Jasmine nuzzled into my arms. "David, I'm sorry. Okay? Let's eat, please?" My stomach growled right on cue, as if answering Jasmine. I huffed and turned away. "Humph. I'm not hungry." Jasmine whispered in my ear, enticing me. "If you're not sleepy, then maybe we could." I sighed, giving in. All right, I'm hungry. Feed me, honey." David's epilogue. Back in school, I don't know why, but Jasmine always called me brother when we hung out. I asked my buddy about it later, and he said he didn't like Jasmine. During those 4 years, since Jasmine never seemed interested in confessing her feelings, I tried to get a reaction by dating someone who looked a lot like Carrie, but she just turned away and left. Turns out, she still couldn't forget John. Thankfully, my buddy called Jasmine that time and said he was worried about me being alone. Who knows what would have happened otherwise? Jasmine's epilogue. That day, I was pretending to be asleep. When I was just about to truly doze off, I suddenly felt something soft on my lips. Turns out he liked me. "David, I'm not gonna let you be alone." Throughout those 4 years, I quietly followed David. But just when I thought he'd moved on from Carrie, someone who looked like Carrie showed up by his side. That's when I knew he hadn't forgotten Carrie. Then, at the cafe, something nearly happened that I'd have regretted forever. But thankfully John clued me in. But after we got together, he constantly pestered my husband, and my gratitude slowly turned into annoyance. I hope he finds someone to spend his life with soon. Carrie's epilogue. I never expected David to ask me to model, letting some unattractive and chubby person come around. He showed up, and I was like, "You stay away from me." He said excitedly, "Who do you think you are? I've seen your videos. They're really enticing. I have lots of tricks up my sleeve. We can slowly take our time trying them out." I got even more freaked out. "Get lost, go away. The sound of clothes tearing." John's epilogue. Jasmine's playing some deep games. To get close to David, she made friends with me, trying to find out what David likes, causing me to explain stuff constantly. But David fell for Jasmine at first sight too. Clever Jasmine. David, you poor soul. At least you both are into each other. I'm so envious. I want my own sweet romance too.